2, 1, switch.
In a moment, World War III. But first, a word from our sponsors. Meet TV superstar reporter Patrick Hale. He's on to the most incredible story of his career.
2 atom bombs.
Hit the dirt!
The bad news is, it involves an Arab terrorist.
Why trust me?
Television, you reach millions.
A trigger-happy general.
Attack now, Mr. President. Hit him first.
Good guys never shoot first.
Why not?
The President of the United States.
He's heard a rumor about the bomb.
Well, don't say yes and don't say no. Don't say maybe. Say you'll call back, but don't. That's how you stay president.
And it may result in World War III. The good news is, his ratings are going through the roof.
We'll have a show on television.
Columbia Pictures presents Wrong is Right. A very funny look at the world. Rated R.
Starts Friday, Men's Plaza, Westwood.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kulturecast. I am your host, Chris Stachiw, and I'm joined by my good friend. He loves a good war. Who doesn't, really? The host of the Projection Booth podcast, Mike White.
You call that news? We peddle disaster.
Can I just ask, why is it you just like watching movies that are too topical impression for their own good? Hey, let me get this straight. We're in the middle of a war with Iran, and you want to watch a movie about a fake war with Iran for money.
Yeah, kind of weird, right? Yeah, and an incompetent president and his advisors running everything. Yeah, it's kind of wild, right?
Just a tad.
Yeah.
Just a tad. On this episode of the Kulturecast, we are talking about a film that you may have never heard of, but by the end of this episode, you may want to take a gander at it. We're talking about 1982's satirical film based on the book The Better Angels, Wrong is Right. So the film is written and directed by Richard Brooks, based on, like I said, the book The Better Angels by Charles McCarry, and it stars Sean Connery as Patrick Hale, a news reporter with a penchant for covering violence, murder, suicide, and everything in between. He gets embroiled in an alphabet soup of letter agencies up to no good that may be trying to start war with the Middle East. They might be trying to do regime change. It might just be for oil. Who knows? It's definitely not the world we're living. Mike, I'm kicking it to you first, as always. What did you think of Wrong is Right, and why did you pick this movie? I mean, I can assume I know why, but I'd love to hear straight from why you.
Well, this was a pick for me due to my friend, I believe it was Robert Hubbard, recommended this one to me forever ago. And this was, I don't want to say this was the tipping point, but this is one of the things that played into the whole idea of us doing the Sean Connery month, just because I had this backlog of Sean Connery films that I wanted to finally sit down and see. And I really didn't know anything about Wrong is Right before we started. I looked into it a little bit beforehand to find out that it was based on a book. I downloaded that, started reading that a little bit, but was not able to get through it as much as I would have liked. And I don't remember how Robert sold it to me. I think he just said, you need to check this out. And the poster image of Sean Connery standing there with his arms wide open, welcoming people, and then having this nuclear blast going off behind him. It's like, okay, yeah, whatever this is, I'm in for it. Let's do it. And I was kind of blown away by the subject matter. Like you're saying, very prescient. This is 1982 that this movie comes out. And really speaks to a lot of stuff that we are dealing with today. They make a lot of references to things like Nixon, Bay of Pigs, those things. And yeah, it's amazing just how much those things still resonate today. And even having a president who's kind of in shock when he realizes that if you spell dog backwards, it's God. Kind of reminds me of when Trump figured out that us is just like US. Nobody ever thought of that before. They don't have his big brain.
Well, it's a whale, a shark, a lion, and a giraffe. And they asked me, Mr. President, pick the whale. And I said, that's a whale. Clearly it's a whale. It swims in the ocean. It has fins. So that's a bear. Okay. No, you're very, your last couple picks have been a little too close to home. The last one, I feel like definitely similarly too close to home, in terms of like, quote, subject material, unquote. And this one, I think similarly, maybe not so much subject material, but definitely characters involved in the film are very representative of people, places, and things that are existing now in a way that I think you and I clearly can like, oh, well, this is like that, and this is like that, and this is, here's this person. It's like, okay, the thing I think that's really sad for me as someone who's just slightly older, and I think this is the other thing that a lot of people my age are always like, well, it's never ever been like this before. No, it has. It's actually been like this like the whole fucking time. That's kind of the problem. Is that it's been like this the whole time. It's never not been like this in our political system. There's always scheming and power grabs. It's just they're taking place often clandestinely, at least they used to. That was, back in the day when people used to do things clandestinely. When people were attempting, and I'm going to use a word that we were called earlier in the week, when people are attempting to be ideologues in the open is much different than doing it privately. And people don't do it privately. It's like out in the open now. If people are even ideologues at all, frankly, I think we live in a post-ideological society where nobody, like it used to be, we would invade a country for the oil, for whatever. Now it's just, well, we're just doing it just because. And it's like, wait a second, like the pretense of an ideology, I could at least somewhat respect that as an attempt to like obfuscate why we're doing things. But now it's just like, we're just going to do it for whatever fucking reason we want. That's always been the case. It's just they've never been outwardly, engaging that way or openly engaging that way. And this movie is just a, satirical look at things. It ain't satirical anymore. It's just, that's the thing that's hard with a film like this is like, it's not funny. And I wonder if it was funny then. I can't imagine it was super raucous time at the theater. But I think probably then people thought to themselves, well, this could never happen. It would never be like this. This is just flights of fancy. And now it's like, this is so far from being flights of fancy. We are devolving into a moral cesspit with the political system in our country further and further every day because there doesn't seem to be a bottom. At least in this film, there's seemingly somewhat of a bottom, which again, like to the film's credit, you should never have thought there was a bottom to the lengths people will go to try and secure power, wealth, and, influence for themselves. So I think I enjoyed what the movie was getting at. I'm not sure how much I enjoyed the movie because it was a really narratively disjointed.
Yeah, there's definitely way too many.
It's too much going on.
Oh, yeah. There's way too many characters. I mean, you can definitely tell that this was based on a book. It really reminds me of the film Winter Kills, where it's very labyrinthine as far as the plotting and just how many characters that we have. I think that one pulls things together a little bit better than this one. This reminds me also a lot of Dr. Strangelove, especially some of the quote unquote funny character names. I mean, you've got Bakwano in the first one, and here you've got General Wombat, and here it reminded me a little too of like Whoops Apocalypse as far as just like all of the different side stories that are going on that kind of add to the larger story. I think they could have definitely tightened it up quite a bit, like the opening stuff with the kind of television stuff that they're doing when it comes to like the woman who murders her husband, or Jennifer Jason Leigh, super young Jennifer Jason Leigh poisoning her parents, but it's all done safely and as a way to kind of have a catharsis and enjoy that. And then also for ratings, it's like, oh, hey, we get to see these people's fantasies of murdering their husbands or getting attacking muggers, those types of things. All that could be completely cut. Like when I looked up the AFI plot synopsis, because the one on Wikipedia was garbage. They don't even talk about that whole opening of this. They just dip right into the Katharine Ross of it. And that was very surprising too. Like so many of these characters are introduced and only get killed like a few minutes later. I'm like, oh, cool. It's going to be Sean Connery and Katharine Ross, and they're going to be, doing this adventure together. No, she's dead within just a few minutes.
She's just dead in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, killed by the terrorist Susie.
Yes. For me,
but I will say, Chris, kind of going back to this whole going into countries to invade for oil and stuff. I mean, you forget about all the reasons that we have gone to war. I mean, all those weapons of mass destruction that Iraq had, all the nuclear weapons that Iran was developing, the way that the president of Venezuela was, dancing and mocking our president, as well as just unleashing all of those drug boats that were flooding our country of fentanyl. I mean, you forget about these reasons, and I don't see why, because this is as good as, bringing democracy to these other countries. We have to do that. We have to import democracy into other countries just so that we can make sure that they are running the right way and that we get all their oil.
And see, it's the idea of, like I said, there was an ideological movement where it was like, we're going to bring democracy to the communist countries of the world. And they don't know what they have as a system doesn't work, but what works for us will work for everyone. Like democracy and capitalism, and it's like, you know what? It hasn't actually. And the people pushing that were the ones who were benefiting. And the people that were pushing it were also the ones who were going to benefit if other countries had democracy. Because, again, a democratic country is able to interface with another democratic country a lot more kind of on the same level than a country that's like an autocracy or a meritocracy, a theocracy. They're dictated by different things. And so this is we're trying to bring democracy to the world, but what we're really trying to bring to the world is capital. We're not, it's not really democracy, it's democratic capitalism. We're trying to bring the free market, quote, free market to the world. It's like, when you're having people at the table who are going to make money off of it, pushing it, that's what we call a conflict of interest. And I didn't go to law school. I got about as close as you can without going. And even I know what a fucking of interest is. But again, in a post-ideological society, if you don't even claim you're doing anything of value and you're just doing it just because, you don't have to justify anything. We're just doing it because. There's no auspices of democracy or anything. It's, we're going to go into Venezuela, take their oil, and then the next day we're going to divvy it up among the 6 biggest oil companies. Okay,
yeah. It feels like with all that oil, it could have actually gone to the American people, and thus we wouldn't be paying $7 a gallon these days.
Just temporarily.
I know. It's just temporarily until we get
pain for 2 to 4 years.
I mean, I love this whole thing of there have been so many democratically elected leaders that we have just toppled because we don't like them. So, we've got Chile, we've got Iran way back, and I can't remember if it was the 50s or 60s. We just toppled that whole thing. It's just because, we can and we will. And then we're not even going to talk about Africa and all the shit that CIA was doing down there. Anyway,
it's hard to not talk about recent things with this because it's still traffic.
Well, absolutely. And then just some of the interesting parallels that we have, that they have these bombs and it's just like, all right, these 2 suitcases filled with nuclear bombs. All right, great. We see that and stuff like, Some of All Fears.
For the price of one.
Well, I love that they end up being on the fucking World Trade Center at the end of the movie.
Is the right word here? Love?
Well, it's pretty interesting that they're there. And then also the whole idea of one of them was supposed to go to the US and the other one was supposed to go to Jerusalem. It's almost like the movie knew that we were going to be, under Jerusalem's thumb in 2026.
Well, and again, it's like, watching this movie in 1982 when it came out must have felt like, oh, well, they're talking about the times now. And maybe if people in the future see it, things will be different. It's honestly shocking how disappointing it is that things haven't changed that much. There's a scene where it's like they locked the gas station attendant in the bathroom so that they could just get gas. And it's like,
I know that was wild when people were going nuts. And of course, I know this is like a few years after the gas crisis.
The gas crisis, right.
Yes,
but it's kind of an elevated version of that, but we're barreling towards it once again.
Oh, yeah. And it's fascinating to me, too, that this is, the Iran-Contra stuff had just started to happen here. And it's like, when this movie is out, it is actively going on. It's like,
right.
All right, great. Yeah. And that, for a lot of people, probably even still today, was too much to even believe. It's like, what? We got in bed with Iran and we're selling them arms, the same arms that are probably being used against us today? Like, yeah, great. Yeah, no, that's what we do, folks. This is how we play the game. You know, like there's a reason why those hostages weren't released when they were, during Carter's administration. There's a reason why the October surprise failed. Here we are. And it was Reagan interfering and all that stuff and making some behind the scenes deals.
I want to start at something that we, like you mentioned, a couple minutes ago about the opening of the movie. And I think it's maybe the thing that the movie is the most prescient about is the de-evolution of our media into nothing but just, and again, like I would say schlock is maybe being flippant, but exploitative to the point of transgressive, and not in a progressively transgressive way, in a like just completely dismantling of what one would consider to be serious journalism. Because Patrick Hale, Sean Connery, I think for me one of the best parts of the movie, an otherwise kind of jumbled movie, kind of isn't given much to do, but does a really good job at just reacting to the things and playing, I think, what one would consider to be like through the eyes of the audience is Sean Connery's character a little bit. He's not scuzzy enough. Like to have a character like this in this movie, if you were doing this now, he'd be like essentially like a on location Tucker Carlson is kind of what they're getting at. Or like a Candace Owens type or a Ben Shapiro. Like he's really trying to like ingratiate himself into the inner sanctum of the politics, to the point where at the end of the movie, he's literally with the president, like communicating with him. So I don't think they pushed him scuzzy enough. Like I having seen The Offense last week and seeing how far Connery can push himself as an actor to really play against type, and then to see him here, like being given the opportunity to do that again. And just, I don't know if it's the script. I don't know if it's him just wanting to like pull it back a little bit, but he is not scummy enough. I mean, this is what I expect is like TMZ levels, which is why he's going to, like harassing people outside of things, being present on the scene of like big things happening. Like he is that, but he doesn't go far enough. And I think it's interesting because in this day and age, like, God, I mean, there were people live streaming January 6th. You know what I mean? Like, how they were there. It's like, I don't think in 82 they could have even contemplated how much further we would get with things, because this is what their take on satire is. Like, it's not really bread and circuses yet. We haven't gotten that.
He really should have been more of a Dick Thornburg from Die Hard type of character, like a William Atherton, because he should, because you like Connery, but you probably shouldn't like the character that he's playing in this movie.
He's supposed to be kind of irascible. He's kind of a piece of shit. Like, that's the point. He's an ambulance chaser in journalism.
Right. I mean, the stuff that they do at the beginning with him joining the skydivers, like some of the stories that he's on, kind of reminds me of like 24-hour party people and this whole like, oh yeah, I do all of these things for journalism kind of stuff. And, I'm a serious journalist, but I get stuck doing all these things. I don't take him seriously as a journalist. Like, he is doing all of these like stunt stories.
Right.
It's funny because it kind of reminds me a little bit of broadcast news, the other Brooks broadcast news. And then also, of course, there's a lot of network in here. But I just don't get this whole, like, if it bleeds, it leads type of personality from Connery. It's almost like he's the wrong person in the right place a lot of this movie and just is chasing down the story. But I don't get like, I'm doing this because I'm venal. Like, right. I really would feel that from other people, I think. And like that, I think would make this story stronger. As it is, Connery is basically, he is what he is. He's basically just here as a surrogate for the audience.
He's flat in this movie.
He's very flat in this movie, yeah, which is kind of a shame.
Kind of a shame. I mean, for me, it's Connery. Like, contrast that with The Offense. That's all I'm saying. Contrast that with The Hill or Anderson tapes. Like, we're not even a decade removed from some of those. It's shocking how underplaying. He's really playing this, like, really flat. And then I don't understand why. Unless it's just the source material's flat, but I can't imagine that that's the case. I think maybe it's just, would it be hard to see Connery as a straight up villain? I don't know. In The Offense, he got away with it. And like, it was obviously like one of the best parts of that movie. If you don't know, go listen to the episode that Mike and I did with Spencer Parsons about it. But like, he played that role so well. Like this, just give him the reins, let him go. Just like, let him go. He's such a great actor. It's honestly the biggest disappointment for me with this movie is not the plot. It's not the messiness of the story. It's that Connery is just kind of fair.
Right. And it's not that there's not enough of him. He's in so many of these scenes, but yeah, he doesn't seem to be really bringing it. I mean, like Spradlin, who we've talked about before on the show many times, and especially like when we talked about The Godfather, talking about what no fucking ZD of it all, like Spradlin's a great actor, and even like a fucking Dean Stockwell. Like these guys can play scumbags so well, and like they surround these characters with these great character actors. But it's like no, let these guys go. Like yeah, let Connery have some room to do this. But yeah, he does seem very. I don't know if it's him being disinterested or, like you said, just the writing just not capturing like that he needs to be more of a protagonist, because he's just being acted upon rather than being an actor of this stuff. And you get more even from like a Leslie Nielsen as this other candidate for president.
Yes. As LBJ.
Well,
he's from Texas. Like, I mean, you seemed like it.
Yeah, very. Also, I was getting some Bush from him too. And then it was funny. There's a moment, and I'm very curious about the history of this film. There's a moment in the trailer that isn't in the movie, and it's where it's Leslie Nielsen up in front of people at like a campaign speech, and he starts talking about gays and lesbians and just how they, are godless creatures, and it's time for the conservative Christians to come out of the closet. And I'm just like, wow.
Where was that? Where was that in the movie? I saw that as well. And I was like, man, the movie's really going to go for it. Nope.
No. And then it's so funny with him being a presidential candidate. All I'm thinking of is Scary Movie, when he's reading the book about the goat, and the guy comes in, and Alonzo Bowden comes in to tell him, that something bad has happened. I'm like, yeah. I think that's maybe where I was getting the Bush of it. Also a little,
picture of Harrison Ford on the wall, yeah,
a little bit of Lloyd Bridges from Hot Shots as well,
Yeah, it's weird because this is the first time we've seen Leslie Nielsen in anything in a while together. I actually recently saw Leslie Nielsen in Forbidden Planet, which I had never watched before, and I really enjoyed it. But it was weird to see Leslie Nielsen in like a seemingly
serious
look, let's just be honest here. I know everybody's like, Leslie Nielsen always looked old. Leslie Nielsen was like a silver fox from like day one, apparently. Like when his hair came in, it was like, it's just going to be gray, buddy. And look, I have a very close friend who I've known since we were in our early 20s, so like a decade plus now, that also has had gray hair most of his life. So like, I just always, when I see Leslie Nielsen, I'm just like, he looks old, but in this movie, he's like younger-ish. Like, what is this, this is around Creepshow, right? Like we're a year or two around Creepshow. So
Creepshow, we're a little bit north of that Columbo episode where he and Patrick, what's his name? We're going back and forth as CIA agents. Yeah.
What is it with you and picking things that are like letter agency, like soups here? I will say that this is better than that Columbo episode.
100%.
This is only like 20 minutes longer. So I think that was like a 90-minute Columbo episode.
But it does have a made-for-TV aesthetic, though. Like, this movie feels cheap,
That might be one of the worst knocks at this movie, like outside of like the Connerys not given enough to do. Like technically the movie is not, it looks like a TV movie and not like in a endearing way. Cause we're in the time where TV movies can kind of really have some like high quality value.
But yeah, the lighting is super flat. Like whenever they go to the White House or the Situation Room, it's like you see one main shadow and one slight shadow. And you're just like, okay, we've got our key and our fill. All right. Like it's just like TV 101 kind of stuff. And just all the sets feel like if you knocked on them, you'd hear a real hollow sound coming back.
We got one corner here, nothing in between. But we'll shoot the two corners and we're fine. Like, okay.
Which is ironic because we see Connery on a TV set when he's talking to that woman that, quote unquote, killed her husband, and he just walks by and you see that it's a flat. And I'm like, okay, are they going for that for the rest of the movie? Or are we going to pull out at some point and be like, this is, the whole world? But I'm like, no, like a movie, even like an Americathon or something, had more production value than this, which is crazy. Because it's like, I don't know what the budget was for this movie, but with all of these actors and everything, they deserve better sets and better costumes than they have. And then just the tonal stuff, I mentioned General Wombat. If you're going to put a character in named General Wombat, what are you doing? Like, they got away with it in Dr. Strangelove because they had, General Ripper, King Kong, like all of these guys with these crazy names. This movie has one guy with one crazy name. And I'm like, okay, nobody's going to comment that this guy's name is General Wombat. This seems so off.
Not only that, but it's also Robert Conrad who's playing him, of all people.
Right.
So it's like he's on screen a lot. Actually, if anything, he's on screen about as much as Connery is in a lot of ways. Like, he's probably the second main character of the movie. And it is odd to give him so much leash and never point out anything about it or anything. Like, just, okay, sure. I don't know, like that feels plucked out of something else and thrown in here just because. And for me, I'm like, that's fine, but that's of a piece of things, and on its own it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. It's of a piece in A Strangelove. Like, here it's just, what's that supposed to be funny? Like, what about that is funny? Just the name?
Yeah, I guess so. It's weird too, because so I didn't realize what Rosalind Cash's name was for a while in this movie. And there's a moment where it's like, hey, because they keep saying, like, Mr. President, you need to step down. And so they keep, going back to the Oval Office. And we've got George Grizzard as President Lockwood, Forrest Frosty Lockwood, I think his name is, right?
Right.
And at one point he's just like, well, I don't want, if he steps down, he goes, I don't want a black Ford as president. And so I'm just like, okay, thinking immediately when he says black Ford, I think of the vehicle, a car. And then I go, oh, it's he's talking about his vice president. And at the time, obviously very sci-fi to have a black woman vice president.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can never have a black woman president. Yes. We can never bridge that gap. We'll never have a woman president. Thank God, because they are so emotional and they just get so bent out of shape so easily.
Stay hysterical.
Oh God, yeah. Whew, man. The men are always much more calm and well thought out, well reasoned and everything. So thank goodness. Anyway, when he says, I don't want a black Ford, then finally I'm like, oh, okay, he's talking about Gerald Ford, because Ford took over for Nixon eventually during Watergate. And then I go, no, actually, Ford is her last name in this. And I'm like, that's a weird thing that they made the vice president Mrs. Ford. And I don't even know if they ever give her a first name, that she's almost always Mrs. Ford in this film.
Yeah. And boy, talk about an actor who's also barely in.
Yeah. She's fantastic whenever she's on screen.
Right. I don't know why she's not on screen more.
Yeah. I would like to know, like, what is this world like for you when you are the only person of color in this Oval Office? And you've got just like we had before with like Billy Graham and everything. Here we've got, who is it? It's not Homer Hubbard. They've got these whole, alliterative names, but there's like there's just stand. Oh, Billy Bob Harper, I think it might be.
Yeah.
The Billy Graham of the group, and who's right there in the White House being the spiritual advisor to the president during this whole time.
Telling him, hey, build yourself a statue.
Yeah.
A golden statue.
A golden statue. Yeah. Again, the satire of this movie just pales in comparison to the world that we're living in now. Yes. Yeah. Like, if you had done something like that, I'm going to build a golden statue and we're going to have a priest dedicated and everything, they would have laughed you right out of the theater. And maybe that's why this movie just tanked at the box office.
Some close friends and I, before 2024's election or after, just right after, we made a Trump pool where we all threw in like 10 to 15 ideas of things that would happen in his next presidency. And then we all kind of like, whoever has the most at the end of it wins like $100 or whatever. Man, we really underestimated the stupidity of the shit that would be happening. And I think it speaks to like, because I've heard people say this before and it makes me roll my eyes every time I hear it, only because I think it's people that have like never seen any other satirical films and have only seen like the one most well-known and popular one right now, which, you correct me if I'm wrong here, Idiocracy, I think is like the satire du jour for like last maybe 10 years. In terms of like the times we live in now, even Idiocracy hasn't gone far enough, like in comparative to what we are living now. So I think to your point, the thing that's maybe most shocking and kind of horrifying to me is the satire thought that it was going really far and pushing the envelope. And it's like, the reality of the world 45 or 55 years from now, or whatever the hell it is going to be so much starker in what it's actually happening than you could ever even begin to approach it's so much. We're living in such truly horrifying times that any satirical writer who was able to open up, look into our world, close it, and get back to what they're doing would be like, not even sure I could write satire this like on the nose. Like, well, it's not a golden calf, Mike. It's not a golden calf.
And that I don't even think was part of Project 2025. Meanwhile, so many other things were just right there in black and white, and nobody wanted to see it or believe it. And it was a playbook for where we're headed and what we've done. I know, it's crazy. Well, check out check out this description of the original source novel. The novel is set in the year 2000 during an election campaign between former President Franklin Mallory, that's the Leslie Nielsen character, and the current president Bedford Forrest Frosty Lockwood. Franklin Mallory wants to be the first president since Grover Cleveland to have 2 non-consecutive terms. During his first term, he had attempted a hostile takeover of Canada, incarcerated people for having criminal tendencies on psychological tests, and hired hundreds of thousands out of college work graduates to work on the spaceship Humanity, which sent a crew to Ganymede. All of these programs were undone by Lockwood. First president since Grover Cleveland to have 2 non-consecutive presidencies. All right. Yep.
Are you saying this is like real?
I'm saying that it's very prophetic, let's just say.
Charles McCarry knew what he was doing as a former CIA agent. It was
absolutely.
I think the thing for me is like, did this need to be a funny movie? If you were to
Is it funny?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think it's attempting to be humorous, but I don't think it's trying to be funny. I think it's trying to be satirical, but I don't think it's trying to be comedic. But I think the issue is the way the film exists in terms of the structure and the advertising and the poster is as if it's a traditional comedic film, which I think does not help the case for the film being a success at the box. Like, these kinds of films never are. And even the ones that are really good, to go back to an Idiocracy, which again, Idiocracy's good. It didn't predict much of anything that wasn't already happening. But Idiocracy's good. But even Idiocracy, in terms of like satire, isn't really pushing the envelope any more than this movie.
I don't know. I think the Terry Crews character really, that he was a former wrestler and now we're going to have UFC on the front lawn of the White House.
To be fair, Donald Trump is in the WWE Hall of Fame.
True.
And he was at WrestleMania in a hair versus hair match against Vince McMahon. Also a sex offending piece of shit. So, it's like I said, like, it's just, you can go far, but nothing feels like it's gone far enough anymore. Like, it almost feels like satire at this point would be to show a world where none of this is happening. And like, just, I don't even know, how do you satirize this when this is already completely out of control? I don't,
And going back to what you said, as far as this being a comedy, like maybe it was a comedy in 1982, but me watching it, black comedy, right? But me watching it today, I'm just like, I just keep saying like, oh, that's just like this. Oh, that's just like this.
Same.
So I'm not smiling. I'm not laughing. I'm just grinning with a wry grin the entire time.
In 2008, they attempted to remake, like, or kind of assess and revive the novel and the film. In 2008, when they were saying it was prophetic. In 2008.
Right.
Fucking bozos. In 2008, and it's prophetic. Just wait about 8 years, and then you see how truly prophetic it is. You know, because we're living 18 years past 2008 now, which is just the worst thing I've had to say all day. What is I want to ask you genuinely, because you and I watch a lot of films, and we watch a very large swath of cinema and television. What is good satire in this day and age? If everything that we can see in the world is as insane and like tonally against itself and at odds with what is good reality or good, just decent human behavior, which again, satire always like pushes it, like humans being terrible to each other or doing stupid, overly stupid things. Like, what does satire in 2026 even look like?
That's a really good point. I think you're on the right track when you say, like, let's just make it more of a utopia where it's just like, well, this can't happen. People can't get along together. we can't agree on these things. Right. Yes, everyone lives in harmony. Wouldn't that be amazing? It's almost like if the Stepford Wives were real kind of a thing,
like
very Pleasantville. Yeah. It's like, okay. But then you get, somebody like Tommy McGuire coming in and just fucking everything up.
Right. It would be like an inverted Pleasantville in this day and age. It would be, you know what it would be? Here's what the film is. You have someone from our universe going into that utopian universe and just being like, why would I ever go back?
Right.
But then it turns out, of course, that the utopia is not actually utopia, and it's probably run by secret lizard people in human suits or something, that's how you lean further into it, because like if the hook is someone from our universe goes to utopia, there's no satire in that. Like there's just, I'm just never gonna go home. Okay, it's like one of those movies where the character goes back in time and they're like, I have to go back to the future to figure out how to, like, things are different. Like I'm good here. I'm fine. I'm not gonna leave. End of movie. Movie's over.
It's Homer when he makes the time machine out of the toaster, and he's sitting there at the end and everything seems to be a lot better, even though Marge and the kids have lizard tongues that pop out of there. I'm all right with this, even though he left 5 minutes before it's starting to rain again and all the donuts falling out of the sky. Probably one of the best bits of The Simpsons for me.
God.
Or just so like that Ned Flanders hellscape with the hooks pulling out your mouth so you smile all the time.
Right.
Idly ho.
See, that's the thing. Like satire now just feels, comparative to the world we live in, it feels toothless, because the world that we live in is just like ugly and gnashing its teeth at all times. And like there's never, when you have the former AG of our country screaming at, an oversight committee about the Dow, when her job was to go in and do X, Y, and Z, and instead she's been doing wingding symbols 1, 2, and 3. It's like, what do I need to satirize? Like, what do I need to poke fun at? Like,
right.
I don't know. Like, I think the things that I've seen in terms of satire now are like generational satire. There was a book I read a couple years ago. I forget the title, but it's like the boomers all need to die is the kind of the point of the story. And it's like, what if in this world, all the boomers were like being put to death or something, like something to that effect. It's like, how do we satirize it that way? But like in terms of political satire, I don't think there's a way to do it. Not in a way that doesn't just feel kind of like lesser than what we're dealing with now.
I mean, there are a few things, like I know there's a book called Trad Wife about a social media influence that has a baby, and it's basically like a Rosemary's Baby type of situation. There's also the one where it's the trad wife who gets sent back in time and has to live the same way that she keeps telling, like raw milk, all those kind of things,
Right.
So it's like, so we can satirize that way, But again, those things feel from just those descriptions that I just gave. Well, but they also sound like Saturday Night Live skits,
Right.
or maybe a better television program, maybe a better satire program where, they actually do have a little bit of a punch, like I would love to see those. Like, I think the time travel one was actually just picked up by somebody, and I can't remember who it is, but it's like, all right, like, can you make this last longer than 5 minutes? I don't know.
The book I was talking about was Day.
Boomsday. Nice.
That's and to your point, like, I think, cultural, societal satire, I think, still has a place in the world. Like the film with Jeffrey Wright that came out a couple years ago, where he's a black man who writes white, like a white name, and it becomes super. Like, you can still do that because I think societal and cultural issues still exist. But in terms of politics, political satire in this day and age, like, good luck making that movie to begin with, because it's going to age poorly. We saw that with that Twilight Zone, where, hey, don't you guys get it? The president is a child. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which again, done way better by Black Mirror, where it's the whole thing of the president is a cartoon character, which kind of even fits better than a child, because some of the things that go on, you just simply can't believe them.
Right. Well, and maybe that's where maybe satire has gone less into a feature length format and more kind of back to something like a Twilight Zone or a Black Mirror or an anthology show, where you can have these kind of shorter story. We have this, boom, okay, this, and then we got this one, and we're kind of telling a whole story. We're trying to get to a point or a parable or something, and that's that. But even, again, to go back to the Twilight Zone example, that reboot that came out a couple years ago, like, even that was too topical for its own good. And what's funny is, going back and looking at the reviews for Wrong is Right, they don't talk about the topicality of the satire being an issue. That's not really the problem. They just, the critical reviews of this film are just like, the movie's kind of a mess. And it's like, but what about the satire? Is the satire going too far? Is it not going far enough? Nobody really comments on that, because I think the movie's just too much of a kind of, in some ways, unfocused mess to really have like a message, quote unquote, which I think that's the other problem with satires in general, is unless you have a focused point, you can kind of like look at 8 different things and satirize those things. It's like, wait a second, like you need to focus on one thing. Like, let's focus on 1 or 2 things. Can you link those things together? But don't go on like, we're going to go after the Middle Eastern, and we're going to go after the Europeans, and we're going to go after the president, we're going to go after the American people. It's like, just pick 1 or 2 things, because unless you're going to do all those things really well, and you're really talented and really adept at satirizing efficiently and succinctly, the movie's just going to become bloated and directionless. And I think this movie kind of falls into that camp. Like, it has some interesting points, but it's, I think of something in terms of satires, like more recent, that I really like Thank You for Smoking. That's a satirical. That, I think, does it in a way that is interesting, that feels, we're going to go for smoking and that world, and like pick a couple things and kind of go with them, but don't like tackle everything. Tackle everything and you kind of just, you can't do anything. It's like, jack of all trades, master.
Yeah. That book I was trying to think of was called Yesteryear, and it's Anne Hathaway just picked up the rights to it, from what I understand.
Huh.
Yeah.
To be in it or just to produce it?
I'm not sure. She might be a good person to be in it, because I think she can portray that like vacuous Instagram type of thing, where it's just like, oh, and I'm the best wife ever because I do this and I do that. Right. That whole trad wife influencer thing, where it's just like, what the fuck? Oh yeah, I must be here for my husband. I mean, talking about, the Stepford wives. I mean, it's basically like turning yourself into a Stepford wife.
Willing.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. Just disconnect right there.
Well, and that's the other thing in this movie that we do, again, like, I'm glad that the movie does hammer this point home. Like, these people aren't doing any of this stuff unwillingly or against their will. Most, if not all of the people in this film, other than, let's say even Sean Connery, really, have a level of agency too. There's like a level of autonomy. And that's maybe what's kind of part of the issue with this film, is because everybody's kind of just doing whatever, and they all have their own machinations, and some of them are like double secret machinations. It's kind of hard to understand what the fuck is from time to time in this movie. Like, it it doesn't hold your hand, but maybe it should have in some ways. Like maybe it should have given more of kind of a framing device to what's going on, or more of like a narrative structure, as opposed to let's just follow Sean Connery around as he goes from scene to scene to scene and essentially is a bystander while other people do.
I kind of wonder, had they, and this is going to sound weird because I complained earlier about having too many characters in this in this movie. And I almost wonder if having somebody else working with Connery, I talked about Catherine Ross and how that seemed like it was going to be an interesting thing until she gets ganked right off the bat. Maybe having
first 10 minutes of the goddamn movie.
Oh yeah. I mean, maybe give him a crusty editor, give him a Jason Robards from All the President's Men, give him I can't remember Vincenzo, or I can't remember Hume Cronin, I think it was from the Parallax View. Like they have these characters, and then towards the end they usually either get compromised or killed, where it's just like, okay, I have the truth, I'm going to publicize the truth. And that's the thing, is like there's not Connery is definitely not a man on a white horse, nor is he even a man on a black horse who eventually learns to put on a white hat. Like he is pretty steady through this whole thing. And I was really hoping for like, okay, yeah, he is venal, he is a shitheel and stuff at the beginning, but then by watching all of this stuff, his eyes get open to how the world really works. And then he's like, I'm going to tell the world, I'm going to tell everyone what's going on here. And never happens. He's just like, I'm here, I'm reporting, and then I'm over here and I'm reporting, I'm over here and I'm reporting. And occasionally we'll cut back to him in the newsroom delivering some of these reports. But for the most part, it's just him wandering around. And like his cameraman that shows up occasionally isn't a character. It's just
not characterized at all.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I don't even know if the guy's got a name, like those two terrorists that I mentioned, Susie earlier, which is just a funny name for me, that, the terrorist Susie, but like this kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Mariette Hartley type of person. And I didn't recognize the actress whatsoever or her contemporary. And I'm trying to remember his name because it's like, hey, like these guys could have been characters as well. And then that would have probably added a little bit more when her and these other terrorists are jumping out of is it airplanes or helicopters, and they're blowing themselves up. Yeah, it's Abu is the other one. So Tony March and Marianne Marks. So Abu and Susie, and they're everywhere in this film, but you barely get any of their motivation. And again, even if they're quiet through the whole time, but you kind of got to feel for them. Then again, May at the end when she gets machine gun and blows up on a parachute at the end of the film, that would have had a little bit more of a punch, other than just this kind of like, oh my God, these people are just, suicide bombing themselves right here in Washington.
I think it would have been more interesting to even have the Catherine Ross character as a secret terrorist throughout the film, or like a secret sympathizer. Like you have all these characters and you just don't do much with them. And like you said, you then have characters that are interacting with Connery or others that aren't giving anything. We haven't talked about the fact John Saxon is in this movie.
Yeah. Well, and
what a shame, really.
Real quick, I think the Robert Webber character Harvey is supposed to be that editor character I was talking about.
He's not,
but he's barely in this.
He's in it like 3 or 4 times, maybe.
Yeah, right.
And it's always opposite Connery. Which, by the way, like if you're going to be opposite Connery, you got to bring your A game. I'm not saying he didn't. I just don't think the script.
No. And ironically, I mostly known Robert Webber from his role in 12 Angry Men. So
how would this
the Lumet of it
Sidney
all.
Lumet had directed this film?
It 100% would have been better if Sidney Lumet had directed this film. Right. Though, I mean, Brooks is not a bad director.
No, he's got a lot of great titles to his name. I mean, my God, you already mentioned, no, I guess, you mentioned Network, but I mean, like In Cold Blood. I mean, my God, like, come on. So, before that, even Blackboard Jungle, all kinds of stuff. Like, it's not director for hire, but it kind of feels like it.
Yeah, no, this was a passion project from what I understand, but because this was his penultimate film, he only had one more after this. And he wasn't, I'm trying to think if he was that prolific, but I don't think that he was. He made 36 films over, he goes all the way back to 1942. Oh, sorry, that's writer. He only directed 26 films over that entire period of time. Wow.
And this was the penultimate film right after he directed Looking for Mr. Goodbar. My God.
Right. Which is a fantastic film. I don't know if you've ever had a chance to see that.
I have.
Yeah, that's a great one.
This
Sorry,
is no Looking for Mr. Goodbar.
No. I kind of cut you off about John Saxon, and like I think he's really good in this film, as he always is.
I just don't think he's given enough to do.
No.
Like, and that's, again, as someone who, came to John Saxon, in their mid-teens with Nightmare on Elm Street, and then having seen him in subsequent things since, like, I always really love him and stuff. It's such a shame to me that this movie has him in it, because when his name came up in the credits, I was like, oh, John Saxon. Same with Henry Silva. Like,
oh, yeah.
What the hell are we doing here with these two, like, two of the great character actors just kind of being given no room to chew the scenery at all? And they normally, that's all they do is chew the scenery. Like, that's their singular job as character actor. And here they're just flat, especially Henry Silva. Like,
right.
I'm disappointed by Henry Silva in this movie, probably more than anybody.
Absolutely. And I feel like, because Patrick Hale is not the character's name from the book. And I feel like by calling him Patrick Hale, they are purposefully calling back to the founding fathers between Patrick Henry and Nathan Hale. But at the same time, it's like, all right, he's not a real American hero, and he's not a super venal villain either. So it's like, what are we doing here? We just have like a piece of white toast in the middle of this movie.
I don't understand. I don't know why they cast Connery in this, is maybe the thing that I'm like trying to figure out. Every moment he's in the film is like, what was it about Connery and what he brings to a role that they were like, this is the guy for this film? Like, I see it in Bond. I understood it in The Offense. Anderson tapes, I got it as well. Here I'm like, this could have been any actor. I don't think, for me, the fact that it's Connery honestly is more disappointing than it is anything else. Like, if it had been anybody else, I might not have expected as much from them. But given that Connery is just such a great actor, I expect so much more of him on screen, because it's so weird to have an actor of Connery's level in a movie.
Yeah, it's like, I want more business from him. It's like, when there's a moment in the film where he meets with Leslie Nielsen, and Nielsen is the one that's got the tape of it's basically the Middle Eastern guy, the Middle Eastern king, his quote unquote suicide note, but it's the original audio from all that. And I love that kind of shit, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, we took this little bit here and this little bit here, and then we re-recorded it, and it sounded like he said this other thing instead. I love those types of things. Like, whether I'm doing podcast editing or whatever, I love that kind of stuff. They cut to this train that they're on, entering into some dark territory, and you see Connery's got the Mallory, the Leslie Nielsen campaign poster, because he's campaigning hard against not Spradlin's character, but the President Lockwood. And he's got the poster. And at one point I thought that he's like drawing a mustache on Leslie Nielsen's poster, but they never really show if he is or anything. And it's just like a real brief moment. I was just like, that's the kind of guy that I want. I want Connery's character to be almost a cynical a-hole that just doesn't believe any of these people. Like, yeah, he's trying to get to the bottom of this, but at the same time, I want him to be smarter than everybody else, maybe he thinks he's smarter than everybody else, and is also making fun of them all the time. Like, had he been sitting there doodling on Leslie Nielsen's campaign poster right fucking in front of him and putting like a Hitler stash or a big old Black Bart stash on this guy, that would have been great, man. Like, give me some of those types of things. Give me just like I said, a little business. Do a little business with what you're doing instead of just kind of sitting there with a coffee cup.
I would have preferred.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Kolchak could get to the bottom of anything. And yeah, he needed to use subterfuge, lies, whatever it took to get into places to get these stories. Whereas
get to this point again,
exactly,
dropped into the story, and it's like he just has all these connections. How?
He's so well known. He is like the Geraldo Rivera of this era. It's like, all right, like he shouldn't be able to walk into these places. The president shouldn't trust this guy.
No, I mean, and neither should the audience.
Right.
In my approximation, I think the film that this film could have or was this movie's kind of in a similar vein to. And I thought about it when I was watching it with some of the scenes with Hardy Kruger is Lord of War.
Yes.
That film I have not watched in a very long time. I used to watch it a lot. I remember really enjoying that film quite a bit. But man, I was like, this would be better if this was just Lord of War. Like, I just want to watch Lord of War instead. Like, you have Cage talking directly to the camera. You have him looking at the audience, kind of you judging him judging you. Like, there's none of that here. Like, there's no you looking into the world and the world's looking back at you. And what does it say about one another in this conversation we're having with each other? There's none of that. It may be just one sly wink to the camera from Connery might have done wonders, but even that would not have been enough. Like, I don't know if Connery looking directly at the camera and talking would have helped, but it might have. Just having to address the audience directly could have been interesting to understand his inner psyche and inner monologue. Would have allowed us to understand, like you said, because if they're not going to show it outward, just have him doing fucking VO. Like, I've never seen a film so in need of VO in my entire life than this one. Just imagine how much of most, if not all, the issues we've had with the film could be clarified with some VO. You'd have more Connery than you probably could know what to do. You'd get to understand who and why his character is doing what he's doing. And if he's not going to externally react to things for a whole host of reasons, having him reacting to it through VO is just about as good of an.
Well, even that poster would lead you to believe, like, welcome to my world kind of thing that he's doing with his arms. And like, yeah, him turning to us and talking to us. As it was, there was an alternate poster that was set up to look like a James Bond thing where he's holding a movie camera or a news camera like it's a gun. And then the title of this thing over in the UK was The Man with the Deadly Lens, which I don't think is a reference to the way that the king it gets poisoned, with that little film camera. He pricks his finger with that. But yeah, it's like, all right. This movie reminded me, speaking of other things it reminded us of, it kind of reminded me of Wag the Dog.
Yep.
And I've only seen Wag the Dog one time. I don't think it's very successful. I mean, that was my memory of it, that it's not very successful. I remember just sitting there kind of shaking my head and being like, it's again, kind of like, you could take this satire way farther, because it was, the whole thing of like, oh, we're going to put this crying girl on screen and she's going to elicit all the sympathy and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this is a reference to the whole taking the babies off of the incubators in the Iraq war. Like, I am familiar with that. And like, again, like, I love him or hate him, but I think Michael Moore could have done a way better job by making that an actual documentary rather than a fiction film, because it just didn't go far enough when it came to those things. Like the whole, like, Willie Nelson singing the old shoe song and stuff. I'm like, all right, yeah. Like, I almost wonder if Hoffman and De Niro had swapped roles, if that would have been a better movie. But yeah, that was the one that I kept coming back to while I was watching this. Was just like, okay, yeah, this is a little bit like that. Little Wag the Dog, little Winter Kills, little Strange Love. And then I am such a bad movie viewer. I've only seen Network once, but when I saw it, I was way too young for it. So I really need to go back and try to see that one again. And because I know that was a big, punch in the face to a lot of people in the 70s.
I haven't seen Network in a while either. Man, I think I know what Mike White May is going to be next year. My God. Sidney Lumet all month long.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes me really laugh. Like the idea that like the satire doesn't go far enough. What a weird phrase, huh? Like he set out to do something and you didn't push it far enough. Like, what were you thinking you were achieving? Like, I guess I don't understand if this is what you think satire is. And again, satire is, a funny look at the world per the movie poster, which, boy, those movie posters are misleading to say the least. I also like to point out Connery doesn't even look like that Wrong is Right poster where he's like has the two women on his legs. Like, that's not even what he looks like in the movie. He's like 10 years younger in the movie than he is on that poster. He looked like Sean Connery circa Last Crusade. But I think those posters are again trying to draw something out of this movie that's not really present, which is like it's kind of this big bombastic look at things, like this madcap world, and Sean Connery is the crooked ringmaster. Like none of that. That's what it's advertising though. especially the one where he's like hands out like that. Like, man, I want to watch that movie or advertise, not.
Well, it's funny because, when we talk again for Sean Connery month, we're going to be talking about The Name of the Rose. And I was reading about that the other night, and it was, Sean Connery was on a real downturn, and people didn't want him to take that role of William of Baskerville. They wanted somebody who was way more bankable. And I'm just like, well, what are you talking about? Like, Sean Connery was on the downswing. I don't get that at all. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, he did Wrong is Right, 5 Days, One Summer, Never Say Never Again, Sword of the Valiant, where he's barely in Sword of the Valiant. He did Highlander, which to me is a wonderful film, but that died at the box office and really only gained second life on VHS and cable. It's like, oh, okay, so I think this whole Wrong is Right thing was really one of the, the parts when they're talking about this downturn of his career.
I was going to say, this to me seems like the first step in a downturn, because, man, 82, I think, because, 81, you've got Time Bandits. Right before that, you have Outland. So, like he wasn't going into 82 with, poor films, but man, 82 on, just from like 82. Like, it did kind of have this weird thing where I guess the perception of Connery was a certain thing, and, Never Say Never Again, which just Wrong is Right, Never Say Never Again back to back, I could see being kind of a rough 82, 83 for Mr. Connery, because, you mentioned, Robert Hubbard is the gentleman who picked this movie, or suggested this film to you. This movie's not good. And I think Connery being in it actually kind of makes it worse for me, because we have seen The Offense, which Connery's amazing in. We've seen the Anderson tapes, which I wasn't like, the movie was good. I wouldn't say of the movies we watched this month, it was my favorite or the one that I will return to. I think the one that I will return to heads and shoulders above any of them is The Offense so far. But I think this movie goes further down on the list than the Anderson tapes for me this month, because I think this movie, for the most part, is kind of just, it's prescient about things, but, even The Simpsons, a show that we've already referenced, does more by being accidentally prescient than this film does being intentionally prescient, intentionally satirical, intentionally forward-looking, intentionally navel-gazing. Like, The Simpsons has more to say, and The Simpsons is a better satire. And The Simpsons isn't a satire of politics as much as it's just a satire of American culture, but even it understood how to push the envelope a little bit. You talked about Sean Connery, like, just not going far enough as a character, not understanding him enough as a character. My pick for something like this, if you were to go out and watch a movie that kind of leans into that more, is Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal, where it's like,
oh boy, yeah,
seeing the kind of person that is doing these kinds of things and why they're doing it and what's motivating them. And honestly, the person at the center of this is much more important than anything else that's going on. This movie puts the horse before the cart, or the cart before the horse, frankly. Like, we should have had a film about Connery and why he is the way that he is and what's motivating him to do what he's doing and why is he doing it, not this wacky world of things happening around him. Like, those things can still be going on, but he needs to react to it more. He needs to have something to say about it. And if he doesn't, what are we trying to achieve by making this movie? What are we trying to say? Because I think, to me, it seems like the book had a clear angle. And I think the movie maybe just kind of abandoned it or softened it for the palates of film audiences, which, this is the late 70s, early 80s. What are we softening films? What the hell? This is the time of not softening film, like, at all. Like, we just talked about The Offense. That film is nothing soft about that movie at all.
Well, don't forget, was 82 E.T.? That's the year where we saw E.T. go against The Thing, and E.T. obviously won, and people thought that The Thing was garbage. And it's like, what? Like, was that too hard for you? You wanted the cute and cuddly alien? You wanted an alien that Steven Spielberg could make out with in the publicity photos? Maybe this is, the city on the hill is coming forth with Reagan, and we just don't want anything controversial right now.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. If this movie actually really pushed an envelope or made a wave or did something truly like pushing of the envelope in terms of the satire, then there might have been a conversation about it, but it seems, again, to go back to the critical appraisal of film at the time, nobody looked at this movie and said, like, this is going to really age well. This will be a prescient film. Like, people were just like, it's kind of all over the place. And it doesn't seem to know what point it's making. And I think that is still obvious watching the film now. Like, it, to the point we made early on, like, it does hit on things that are prescient and topical, intentionally or not, but just to effectively name drop does not do anything other than prove that you read the headlines of the news, but maybe don't actually read into the paragraphs to understand the complexity of the situation that's going on. I think the most prescient thing is the idea that they would start a war intentionally, the United States would, to give themselves a reason to start a war by putting the 2 nuclear briefcases on top of the World Trade Center, I think is the most satirical thing the movie does. Because it's like, that's, as close to reality as we will ever see a movie going with stuff, a nation committing terrorism against its own country for reasons exterior to go and invade or oil or other things. And, many people, and again, I've heard the arguments, and I'm not saying right or wrong. I try not to dismiss conspiracy theorists out of hand. Like the 9/11 conspiracy, like that's what this movie kind of unintentionally is kind of talking about at the end. Like, again, it doesn't go granular into it, but the idea that a country would commit terrorism or fake committing terrorism for political or economic gains, this movie has taken the stance that the United States is willing to do it, which is a pretty dark thing to say.
Well, remember the Maine, it's, we've done it before. There's no stopping us from doing it again. One thing I had to laugh at in this movie was the president when he calls his dog into the office and his dog jumps up on him and it becomes this whole like checkers kind of thing. And I'm just like thinking, yeah, the guy we got now has no dog other than Lindsey Graham and just doesn't have the temperament, that if there was a dog in the White House right now, it would potentially take attention away from the toddler who needs all of the attention.
I thought there was a dog in the White House, a lap dog. Well, plenty.
There's a lot of lap dogs. Yeah, one of them's even got his own bourbon.
There's so many lap dogs. It's like a world of lap dogs. Like just, and they all want 1 minute on dear leader's lap. Congratulations. But only 1 minute because daddy doesn't love you that much. So
that they refer to him as daddy is really sick.
I don't even refer to my own dad.
No, there's a leather daddy that I'll refer to as daddy, but that's a whole different thing.
Leather daddy, I presume.
Yes.
Or I guess he says he's not a leather daddy. I presume you must be daddy. And
right.
Is the actual.
I'm trying to think of the stuff from Arrested Development where Tobias is like, what do you get for a father that likes leather? You mean like a leather daddy? Yes. Yes.
Man, talk about a show that is still satirically funny.
There you go.
Years later. Like, there you go. Like you.
There's the satire.
Yeah, there's the satire. And not only that, but like, I think for me, and again, I think this is maybe the question I pose to you, political satire is great. But I find it to be more interesting when you include political satire in something else, and it's not the point inherently. It's not the point specifically. It's not the entire point is not political satire. You can do it well, see Wag the Dog, but you can also do it poorly, see Wrong is Right.
Right. Or what was Man of the Year?
Oh my God, or Don't Look Up.
Yeah. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Don't Look Up.
Oh,
that's what this movie reminded me of. I'm like, who picked this shit? Like, good Lord, like, what are they? They're so clever. Everybody's so clever. It's like, I mean, I guess, but
I felt like I was taking crazy pills when that movie came out because I'm just like, you really think this is funny?
I think
you
think it's called Iverman?
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. And I think it was just what's on Netflix, nothing else. Okay, we'll watch this.
That's right. That's right.
Jesus, that was horrible.
What was the name of that Peter Capaldi television movie that had, or it was based on a television miniseries, and the movie had his character in it, and it was also like James Gandolfini as well, and he's playing a character from a British TV show that he's like, I mean, you've seen the clips of him just like cursing at people and calling them terrible names.
In the loop.
In the loop. That's how you do political satire. If you're gonna do it and like lean into it. And then to go further with the film, like it's just, I don't know. for me, I'm always more interested if the satire includes politics but isn't politics focused. Like Arrested Development knew how to do it with the Raish Mattis stuff and all the Iran, the Iraq war at the time, stuff like that's how you do that. Like this is just, I don't know. Somehow this feels like low hanging even in.
Yeah. I mean, I would rather watch what was it, Scary Movie 5 with Leslie Nielsen as the president rather than, or was it 3? It was 3. Yeah,
I think Scary Movie 5 is scary. No, the new one.
6 is coming out.
6.
Yeah, which will not be satire. It will just be parody because it'll be whatever has been in the news or on TV or in the movies for the last 3 months, just depending on how long it took to shoot this, and then we'll just regurgitate everything back to our it'll just regurgitate everything back into our mouths.
I hope not, but man, those later Scary Movie films really became
their rank.
I'm invoking our friend Trevor Gumble, Freeburg Seltzer joints. They really kind of started becoming Drek. And I don't want to say that this movie is Drek, but it definitely doesn't hold itself as a film to be the film really that it's advertising itself as. And that I think is such a shame. Because if the film had lived up to that poster, I think we'd be feeling like we did with The Offense, where it's like, why haven't people been talking this movie?
Exactly, yeah.
It's because it's not great. Like, that's why. Like, there are some times where things are just kind of like, you know what this really reminds me of? Man, and this is probably punching down a little bit. This reminds me of Deal of the Century. But I think even Deal of the Century might have been a better movie. I
can definitely see that. And, and you mentioned Lord of War, which Lord of War is like the good version of Deal of the Century.
Right.
I can see that. Like this movie is so frustrating because it isn't the movie that we would like it to be. And I'm not trying to be a dickhead as far as like, oh yeah, we're rewriting the movie. We're saying it needs to be this, that, and the other thing. And that's not what this movie is. It just needed to be stronger. Like I am tempted to go read The Better Angels and read what the original intention was. Again, I believe that Brooks wrote this with the author, so it might be more of the same, but I don't know. I really just wish that this had been a stronger thing. Like I even was reading reviews where people are like, okay, I'm trying to watch this as a cult movie and to see what the appeal is if it was a cult movie. If it is one of these movies that nobody caught on to in 1982, and here I am all these years later trying to watch this and kind of get that inside track and be the people that are just like, well, why is no one talking about this? Well, there's a very good reason why people aren't talking about it, which is a shame because I wanted it to be. I was hoping like, oh, cool, this is going to be one of those secret hidden gems where it's just like, how come nobody sees this and sees how smart this was and how prescient it was? Well, because it just kind of misses the mark time and again.
Yeah. It, I will go one step further. I kind of disliked this movie only because if you're going to give Sean Connery time and space to do something interesting and you don't give him anything to do, you're going to, like you say, bring the author in to do an adaptation of his novel that was clearly successful, and it's not going to go anywhere. Like, I don't know. I honestly would just rather watch Lord of War. I tend to not be that dismissive about things and say like, well, I'd rather watch something else. But with a satire, it being such a like genre specific thing, and you are like, this is a satire. Death of Stalin is a satire. Yes, it is. A very well done one. And
yes,
I would rather watch something like that than this. And that's the problem. It's not like I don't have any other options for political satire that are in this same realm. It's just none of them have Sean Connery in it. That's too bad. But the one that does isn't very good because it just doesn't do enough. And you know what? If you're going to make a satire, you kind of got to give yourself some venom. You got to be a little poisonous. You got to kind of do something with a little ill intent because the best satire has an edge to it. And this movie is a dull spork. It is completely toothless. It is, it's like that dog that growls at you and then you notice it doesn't have any teeth. And you're just like, well, it's like my dog that passed away last year when he would bark at people. And then it's like, dude, guy has no teeth. Like, what is he going to do? Gum you to death? Like, it's that same thing. It's just like, what are we going to do with a film that's trying to be a satire that doesn't achieve a satirical point or message? Like, it's kind of a failure, It's unfortunate. And, at least it's not like last year's films where they're all bad intentionally. At least there's none of that. So is this, I guess I want to end it on this. Is this better or worse than Man of the Year in terms of being satire?
Oh, gosh.
You invoked it. I wouldn't have thought about it. And technically, second time you've invoked it in as many episodes, because I think we talked about it at least publicly or maybe off recording with Spencer about me.
Yeah. I think it was off mic, but or offline. But yeah, I would say this is better than Man of the Year. Yeah, because Man of the Year just had that maudlin feel, and this doesn't get maudlin, and I really can't take maudlin. So yeah,
I'm gonna say Man of the Year edges this out only a little bit, and you're gonna laugh because I actually, for whatever reason, Robin Williams and maudlin just kind of goes together for me in a really weird way. And maybe I'm wrong. Like, the film where he goes to hell, What Dreams May
Come. Yeah.
That's like as maudlin.
Oh,
right?
See, I like What Dreams May Come. I'm thinking of the My Wife is Dead from Good Will Hunting,
Oh, talk about being a bad film critic. Hashtag, I've never seen Good Will Hunting. How about them apples? Well,
now you've got your thing for a never seen month.
I don't like them apples, Will. Man of the Year edges this out just a little, but the maudlinness of Man of the Year, I can see it going either direction for the audience. Like, if you're not down with that, it's not going to resonate with you. But if you like seeing Robin Williams be sad and cry, tune in.
Hi, I'm Susan.
And I'm Sharon. And we're the hosts of 80s TV Ladies.
Check us out wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
And please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at 80s TV Ladies.
You can find interviews and exclusive behind-the-scenes content on all of your favorite 80s TV ladies.
80s TV Ladies is the place to go. Please join us.
Hi, this is HP from Noise Junkies.
And this is Father Malone from Dark Destinations.
Please join us as we examine one of the greatest sitcoms in television history, Taxi, on Night Mr. Walters, a Taxi podcast.
Good night, Mr. Walters.
Good evening, and welcome to Night Gallery.
Thank you, Rod. And I want to welcome everyone to Midnight Viewing, where once a month we talk all about your follow-up to The Twilight Zone, Rod Serling's Night Gallery.
They say it's Rod Serling's Night Gallery, and it isn't really Rod Serling's Night Gallery, it's somebody else's.
Oh, we know. We talk about it a lot. Your curators at Midnight Viewing are the projection booth's Mike White.
What can happen to human beings when trust is wiped out by suspicion?
And Kulturecast's Chris Stachiw.
Small boy encased in a crystal ball.
And I'm Father Malone.
The kind of thing that usually infests nightmares.
Join us monthly at Midnight Viewing, the Night Gallery podcast at weirdingwaymedia.com.
Doesn't remotely belong to me. I have no proprietary interest in that at all.
Within these walls, men come to seek God. He has come to seek a killer.
We found the body horribly mutilated under a window which was found closed. Somebody told you.
A man of reason in a world of blind faith.
Yes, small blood here.
You mean that he committed suicide?
Elementary.
And a crime that could not be suppressed.
Ink stains. He did not write with his tongue, I presume.
I don't like this place.
I find it most stimulating. Should we tell him? No. I am most curious to see the library for myself. May I do so? No. But what if he should learn it of his own accord? Written with lemon juice. Hey! Who's there?
You overestimate his talents.
This one, I grant you, did not commit suicide.
When he is challenged by a man of cruelty and power, the hunter becomes the hunted.
Brethren, if you please! The matter has occurred of the utmost gravity. Had someone else not chosen to look in the wrong direction, several men of God might still be with us.
Other monks will meet their deaths here, and they also will have blackened fingers and blackened tongues.
His fang is black, just as Brother William foretold.
Yes, I was right.
He knew, just as I, too, would have known had I been the murderer.
You go that way. Lock them up!
One final murder has been planned.
Master? How do we get out?
With some difficulty.
And it's his. Sean Connery. F. Murray Abraham. The Name of the Rose. A story of unholy murder.
All right, so we'll take a break and we will play a preview for the next culture. That's right. Like Mike and I kind of already talked about a little bit with The Name of the Rose, we are going to be talking about The Name of the Rose. It was supposed to be this episode, but it's not because Richard Hatem was busy. We love Richard. We move things to Richard because we love him. That's what we do for the people we love, folks. You should do something for the person in your life that you love, like move a podcast recording if that's something you can do. So we'll be talking about that with Richard. We will have an interview that I did with Ilya Baskin so many years ago when I covered the film, probably in like 2017. So we'll have that interview. It'll be the three of us talking about Sean Connery as a monk. So if you're into that, come back for that. Until then, Mike, where can people find you and the things that you work on?
Well, pretty much everything that I do is available at weirdandwaymedia.com, with the exception of the show that we do with Richard over on our Patreon, which is wrapping up pretty soon. That is Rankin on Bond. And you can get that through patreon.com/projectionbooth and patreon.com/culturecast. How about you, Chris?
Well, like you mentioned, we do a Patreon exclusive show, which is coming to an end very quickly, actually, I believe. We're 2.5 weeks removed from the end of the show almost, something like that, maybe a month. We will be doing another show afterwards. It will be on a normal feed. There will be a Patreon exclusive nature to it, which is you'll be able to get it a month early, ad-free. If you want to get it for free, it will be on a normal feed like all the other fantastic Weirding Way Media shows that I'm sure you're listening to. And if you're not, like Mike said, you know where to find them. Like, rate, and review this show over on iTunes or Spotify, wherever you're getting it. Just make it one of those two. It helps us out immensely. And yeah, come on back for the next episode where we're going to talk a little Name of the Rose with our dear friend, the monk, Richard Hatem.